Good evening, listeners. Welcome into episode 21 of a New Era podcast. My name is Hanson, better known as Fryddy Online, and today I am with my dad, the OG Frid. Dad, would you like to say hello to the listeners this evening for the second straight week?
Good evening, listeners. You know, I got to chuckle. And first and foremost, thank you for your continued support and thank you for listening to us. We're just amazed by the numbers of people that are out there listening to us and continue to like what we have to say, I guess, because you guys sure do. We're hitting numbers that we, at this point, probably never even imagined. Is that correct, son?
Especially at this pace. So we definitely appreciate all the constant support and listens. And like we say week after week, we'd love to hear from you guys, you know, with questions and comments and concerns and whatever else. But we're just going to keep going as we go. And we're having a ball doing it. So.
And I kind of always chuckle because obviously eventually we hope to get this up on YouTube so you can see us and our personalities and what we do during our, you know, obviously in the morning, it's not as comical as at night because we get to have some cocktails, but I always love the intro, how you say, you know, Hanson, better known as Fryddy, and I'm with my dad. It almost sounds like you're going to replace me at some point. I'm just like not a special guest. I'm a special guest or something.
I mean, that's not the plan, but we all died someday, don't we? You know, even if it's now, we got to start prepping for years down the line. I mean, what is going to happen to the New Era podcast without one of the two? Who knows? I could get hit by like a car tomorrow, so it's all a joke. But
no, you're waiting for me to have that heart attack, I'm sure.
Definitely not. Absolutely not. Then what am I going to do this with? Savannah? I don't know if she knows ball like that.
Mom.
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, she'd be good at Bruins stuff. She'd be good at the hockey. She loves Bruins.
And you
I
know
feel
what?
Like she's getting to like the Celtics a little more and more.
Yeah.
Oh, and she loves the Pats. She says she loves the Sox, but I don't think she knows the Sox. She just likes watching baseball, I think, more than she likes.
Yeah, because she always says, "Who are the players now? I don't know anyone," and always will say, you know, Yastrzemski and Dustin Pedroia and Ortiz, even though they've been gone for years.
To be fair, going into this year, I also was looking at the lineup and was like, "Who the fuck are some of these guys?" But you know,
but during the episode that we have, or segment that we have in our episode today, later there was a comment she made that she wants to do, and we'll have that later on in this podcast. So Mom did make a great point.
Yeah. All right. Well, to start off today's episode, it has now been 8 days since we did. No, not even. We did it last Saturday. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
10 days since our last episode. So a lot went on. Obviously, when we were talking last week, we were looking ahead to the Celtics Eastern Conference final matchup because game 1 started on. Did we watch that on Tuesday? I think we watched that Tuesday night. And so talking about it then, you know, I had said 6 games. You had said 5 games. I thought we were going to get 2 podcasts out of this series, but you know, not a bad thing. The Boston Celtics are your 2024 Eastern Conference champions. We have 10 days off of rest until we start the NBA Finals next Thursday on June 6th. Awaiting the winner of the Mavs and Wolves who play Game 4 tonight. I got one question for you here. I've got a couple. I actually I was excited about this one. I got a whole podcast notes stuff for today. Oh yeah, I got stats and stuff galore. I've got some receipts, and it's gonna get a lot worse if we end up winning the big one too. But so like I said, we got 10 days until the start of the finals. I think it is. Game 1 is too much.
That's too much.
I was about to ask. So, you know, there's 2 sides of this, right? There's a good and bad side of the rest. I want to know, like, where do you stand? Because the way that I see it, right, the good part is, I think there's good rest and it benefits KP, and I think that's about it. I think the only rest that this benefits is Porzingis, whereas the bad side of it, while we have been, great. What is it? 12-2 throughout the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
I think 8 of those wins without him. You're going to have these guys that have been rolling, your Jason Tatums and your Jaylen Browns and Al Horford's obviously who really contributed this series, but also the role players that might come into game one a little rusty, regardless of who it is. Which side do you stand on here about how you're feeling about our rest situation?
I mean, yes, you are correct. But although Porzingis has been out for a while, and then we got that latest news, the calf, is not ready for game 4, which I had predicted that we at least needed him for that. And hopefully he was going to come back for that.
No, I think you said for 5. I think you said you were fine with him being through 4 because you were like, okay, even worst case scenario would be 2-2 then.
Yeah. We definitely need him for either team that's going to come out. Just for his size alone to be able to be in the. I mean, if it's Minnesota, if Minnesota pulls off the comeback from
162 times.
Yep. Obviously they have their big 2 with Gobert and Cat there, so you would need another big. And I don't see him. I mean, obviously he's not gonna. What the hell is this whole thing about Jason Kidd saying the best backcourt duo? Is Luka a small forward?
He plays the point technically, but he's got the size that he could be like a 3. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's got the size that he could be a 4 or 5. I mean, the dude's 7 feet, but he plays the point.
You're thinking of like Jokic here, but yeah, he plays point.
Okay. I thought he was always like a forward or a 3 or something, but all right. And obviously, Kristaps is not going to be covering him at that because size, but we'll definitely need him. I mean, Al Horford, excuse me, played a phenomenal series.
Phenomenal series. Outside of a couple like forced threes and stuff here and there, Al played his fucking ass off, and that was he was great there. I agree with you there.
Yeah, but he's got father time on him. I don't think that he's gonna. I mean, the 2 guys that they keep on putting at center just start rotating, and they just have the energy. He's gonna have a hard time at that point. But
you're talking about who rotating?
Oh, for
Minnesota or Dallas? Okay, so Gafford and Lively.
Yeah,
Lively got hurt last night, or not last night. Fucking game 3 though. It's something bad. I think it was a knee or something to the face, and I think he's already ruled out for tonight. So if they were to win, granted, if they win tonight, I mean, it's 10 days. I think he would probably be fine.
Yeah, I think Minnesota wins today, but regardless, if Dallas does sweep, having both teams wait 10 days, I mean, NBA, Adam Scheffler, come on. Or
Silver, first off, Adam Silver. You're thinking of Adam Schefter, the NFL analyst that breaks news.
This is why I'm This is why I'm
This
is why I'm on trial.
Why? I love it. It's the 2 best. It's the 2 best teams in the league.
And I know that the NFL
and I know they had them
2 weeks and all that stuff.
No, it's fun. I feel like
Come on. Let's get it going.
Now, granted, we're thinking about it as Celtics fans here, right? We've played 5-5 and 4.
No, I don't think. No,
but
I don't think just as a Celtic. I think of just a fan of championships of all sports. I mean, this weight. I mean, you're in rhythms. No matter what sport you've been playing, you're in a rhythm. I mean, yes, NFL does it for the All-Star. Senior or the bowl thing, but Pro Bowl. But come on,
I mean, you do this with in mind, thinking that they could go 7. And if it were to go 7, what? We'll take like the Dallas one, for example. Game 4 tonight. Game 5 would be Wednesday. Game 6 would be Friday. And then game 7 would be... No, I'm sorry. So, Bella, don't do that. She's fucking me up here. I was trying to go through a damn week and just rip my pen
It's
out.
a short week. It's a short week.
Yeah, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday now. Thursday would be game 5. Saturday would be game 6. Monday would be game 7. Then they would get 3 days off.
Okay.
And they would have stopped, because our game 5 or our game 7 would have been the Sunday then or whatever. So, I mean, they do it for that. But these are the 2 best teams in the league at this point. They've won their conferences. You do it keeping in mind that they could have had other series that went 7 games in the first 2. Now, they didn't. But, I mean, the guys deserve some rest, so you get the best quality basketball that you get to end off the year. Plus, it pushes you there into June. The second week of June, and people love the finals getting to June. That's a whole thing, the players being able to play June basketball. Like, that's a big thing in the league too. So it carries some weight. I get it, and I'm fine with it. It will suck to not have the Celtics for a little bit, but at the same time, it's fine because these 2 NHL conference final series look like they might go a little deeper. So, I'm fine with it. Get to pay a little more attention to some Red Sox baseball or something like that. But so I got a scenario for you then. So you said the Wolves win tonight. I also believe the Wolves win tonight. I think they actually have Scott Foster there, who is known as one of the refs that loves to extend series. I think the NBA, seeing what we did to the Pacers last night, after they had leads late in 3 out of the last 4 games, and now the Mavs are up 3-0. NBA made a call. They were like, "Hey, we cannot have both conference finals get swept."
No, because then you're sitting there and you got the NHL playing all week. And all the focus is on them.
So what? I think I've got an idea about it. My best case scenario would be. Now, let me preface this by saying I would have loved if the Wolves didn't go down 3-0 because nobody comes down from 3-0, and I would have loved. I think they're the harder team. I would have loved to play them though because it would have made for a great series to watch.
Absolutely.
However, I think the Mavs are the easier match. I think we match up very well with them. We did both times in the regular season. And Kyrie is also 0-10 in his last 10 games against the Celtics. Ever since he stepped unlucky, he just brings bad juju to that team.
Bad juju.
They I'll get into this a little bit later. Actually, I'm going to hold that point. But I think best case scenario would be if the Wolves can win tonight. And then continue to win a little bit and push it to 7. Get it to 7. Mavs win. And then you got little fat boy Luka Doncic, who's now played a 7-game series with 3 games rest until the finals. And they're going to be exhausted. I think that would be the best case scenario. I don't think it's going to happen. I probably think the Mavs take it in 5.
Or 6.
Yeah.
I mean, if Minnesota can pull it off, maybe they have momentum going into game 6 and somehow pull that out. Or, sorry, game 5. And then it goes to game 6, but it'll be a Mavs win at least in 6 games.
But I mean, people talk about it all throughout the offseason and stuff like that when they see the conditioning photos, and they're like, we really don't think Luka has the best conditioning. Well, you get him into a deep playoff race, getting into the finals, and, against a physical defensive team in the Wolves, and then another physical defensive team in the Celtics, it looks like I could go in our favor. But you also mentioned you think we need KP to beat the Mavs. I don't think we do. I think we can still beat that team without him. But it would be great to have. So I ask you, what do you think out of 100%? How confident are you that he'll play game 1? And then what do you think his health would be at that point, if it's 100% or a little lower?
He'll be at best, he's going to be 80, 85%. And he'll put up, 10 to 12 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 or 5 assists. And
so maybe it's not.
Blocks. I mean, he's going to be.
How confident are you he'll play?
I'll be 95% confident he'll play game one, and he'll be at this point a complementary piece, not a piece that I think was
we can
more
go
than
to when we need a bucket. Yeah, like he was.
He was. I mean, yes, a third option, obviously, because you got the Jays, and then at some point maybe Derek is equal, so maybe he's a 3B and Derek was a 3A option. And Drew Holiday has done extremely well throughout these playoffs. So he's just going to be another compliment. I think his defensive ability and the fact that he can block some shots or force some different shots in the middle, that's what's going to be more beneficial to him coming in than scoring, 18 points for him.
Yeah, I don't even think we need him so much. Like you mentioned, it's great to have him as like a rim protector and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll need him so much on the offensive end. I think it's definitely the biggest benefit we get from it is, yes, his defense and his length, but also limiting the minutes and getting Al back on that second unit to get that veteran presence in with the second unit, along with one of those Jays that seems to always rotate, whether it's Tatum getting in there with Peyton and all them, or Tatum comes out at the end of the first and then Jaylen ends off that second shift. So I think it benefits that the most in getting Al the minutes that he'll be able to play for the rest of the series. You definitely think if he comes back, Kristaps is probably playing limited minutes. I'm thinking 25, 27. Like he's not going to hit the 35 plus mark until game 5, 6 if needed.
I'm thinking he's only going to come in to 18 to 22, maybe game 1 and game 2. Al will have a bulk though. Will play in the fourth with the first unit, and you'll probably see Cornette, pick up 3 or 4 minutes if need be, if someone's into foul trouble.
Well, I hope not, because Luke Cornette, the one bad side of the Celtics in this Pacer series, Luke Cornette was fucking terrible. Yeah. Which sucks because he had been pretty serviceable the first 2 series. I really didn't have bad things to say about how he'd been playing, but against the Pacers, he looked fucking lost out there.
I think what it was because the Pacers have an up-tempo. That's not Luke Cornette's game. He's more
he can't move as laterally to keep up with that.
100%. And with them switching and moving so quick, and thus us switching, you saw him just with the ball, just like, where am I going to? I'm not going to take this shot where I am. I need to pass it, and he panicked a lot with the ball when he was by the arc or outside his comfortable shooting range, and he knew he had to give it up, but to what? There was a lot of, I saw a couple of those games where, you could just see it in his head going, I need to get rid of it. Who am I going to? But they're going so fast with their switches. Where is the open man? He's more of a,
You make a good point about it because, I mean, the body language of him. Because you could definitely see it, like you're saying, where he looked like lost and anxious as to what to do. And against a Pacers team that is not the best defensively by any means. I mean, the reason why they got there and the reason they won games in the regular season was because they had the most or second most or first most efficient offense in the NBA history.
I think it was first.
Yeah, and I think we were right behind them at second. So, when you do that against a team that doesn't rely on their defense too much, but they get to almost take a step back, like, hey guys, we're playing 4-on-5, which needed when, you got JB and Jaylen trading off 30 and 40-point games throughout the series. You can put a little more pressure on them, 2 eyes on one guy, and Luke's not really going to kill you. But
which I think, again, goes to the point that we'd rather see Dallas over Minnesota, because I think Dallas's style is more, especially if Luka. I mean, Luka's not going to run up that damn court. He's not going to push it.
No,
they're a slow
Kyrie would, but
but Luka's not.
Yeah. So I got a couple things here. Let's go to the next one. So, this I've been waiting for this. I'm gonna go on a little thing here. So,
is this a Hanson? Is this a Fryddy?
Let me just say, I think you and me have probably went over it a couple times and have mentioned it at least in our conversations before we even started the podcast, but at least a couple times on the podcast too. We have made it known. You remember back in like 2022, before we made the moves of the Marcus Smart and the Porzingis, right after the finals against the Warriors, it's like, well, damn, this was a great Celtics team. What do you do now? You know, what moves do you make in order to get to that next step? And people were calling for, Tatum was untouchable, obviously. People were calling for Jaylen Brown. Oh, I'd rather have Kevin Durant. I'd rather have Paul George. I'd rather have Devin Booker. That's cool. So I just want to go out there and I got a little something. I pulled out some receipts today. I dug up an article from some sort of Boston sports page. I'm not going to throw them out there right now because I can't even remember what it is, first off. And two, it's a complete different team, but just a great little article I found. 5 realistic trade packages that we should take for Jaylen Brown now. Number 1, Atlanta, Trae Young, John Collins for Jaylen Brown, Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard. Number 2, Chicago, Zach LaVine for Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard straight up. Number 3, Los Angeles Clippers, Paul George, Robert Covington, and Bones Highland for Jaylen Brown, Al Horford. Number 4, New York Knicks, Julius Randle for Jaylen Brown straight up. And then number 5, oh, this is funny, Toronto Raptors, Pascal Siakam, who we just swept in the Eastern Conference Finals, for Jaylen Brown and Peyton Pritchard. When I look at this list, one thing that stands out to me the most is out of all names that I just named, the only one that has a conference finals MVP is motherfucking Jaylen Brown. I'm so happy we never moved on from him. I'm so happy we gave him the love and the respect that he deserves, because all of this throughout the last offseason, can't go to his left hand, overpaid guy, most like highest paid player in the NBA. It's dumb money. He can't be that 1A guy if he needs to. He can't take over the games when he needs to. Fuck all of that. 29.8 points per game, 5.0 rebounds per game, 2.0 steals per game on 51.7 field goal percentage from the field. Wins the Eastern Conference MVP over Jason Tatum, and it is so well deserved. And I am so happy and proud of Jaylen Brown in this series.
And yes, I totally agree. Jaylen Brown put on a show, said, I can be the man. And God forbid the two of the Jays don't like each other or something.
Yeah,
because we need those
bullshit, man.
We need those
Get
two
it out
together.
of here.
But also getting rid of Peyton Pritchard. I mean, that kid can hit the 3 whenever he fucking wants to.
He has been so good. He's been so underratedly good, and I love everything about it. Fuck, there was something else that I had. Oh, did you? I might have talked to you on the phone when I was at the airport or something. It was after game 2. So they asked him. I think it was after game 2. Yeah, because I was sitting at the airport Friday. They're asking him, because that's right when the All NBA teams and stuff came out, all defense, which he was snubbed on all of them, not on any all defense teams, not even on the third team All NBA, even though he's the second option on the best team in the NBA. We only put one team on the All NBA. We put
one player.
Yeah, we put 2 guys on the All NBA defense second team. But people want to go out here and talk about, well, they have a super team. Well, award us like it. But so Jaylen was asked, how do you feel about getting stubbed for, the All NBA or All Defense? And he came out there and he was just like, well, honestly, we're 2 games away from the final, so I don't have time to give a fuck about it. Said it straight up in the press conference, and I loved it. I was like, good. Like, he's never been one to care about the individual awards. He is like, ever since we got rid of Marcus, who really was the voice of that team, he has stepped in this last year and has been just a guy that everybody can look up to and really feel like he's leading that team. And it just shows by him not caring about the individual achievements. He just wants to win with this team and win for Boston. And it's phenomenal. I talked about, I know I sent this tweet to you. I think you actually responded to it as you're getting a little more active on Twitter this week.
Yes. Trying.
Jaylen Brown was 0.2 points away, so I think that would have been like one more bucket, but whatever. 0.2 points away from him and Jason Tatum being the first ever duo in NBA history to have two players average 30 plus in a conference final series. Which, like, you think about some of the duos that have gone through there. I mean, you even think, like, way back, obviously, the Michael Jordans and the Scottie Pippins and all that. But, like, even more recently in
Shaq and Kobe.
That, or I'm thinking LeBron and Kyrie in 2016. You know, like, some of those guys, it's a crazy
LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
Fucking Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. I mean, like, all of these, we were 0.2 points away from those guys being at the cream of the crop. They're the number one guys on that list, and that would have been phenomenal. The only guys on that list. Speaking of another list of conference finals, you know, how long have we had Jason Tatum? I think this is his 6th year, 7th year.
I thought, yeah.
And then JB, 8 years.
Yeah.
And obviously the mark of consistency that they've had in Boston since we put the duo together is unbelievable. They both now rank top 10 in Eastern Conference Finals points all time. Jaylen Brown is on that list all time. And I can tell you right now, they're guaranteed at least another 5 to 6 trips if they're Celtics for life. They could be number 1 and 2 on that list by the end of it all.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely an insane stat.
You know what? I wonder, and with those stats as is currently right now, and we've had an incredible amount of Celtic history. And if they continue and become 1 and 2, where are they in the all-time Celtic greats?
I mean, I would love to have that conversation with you, but I think we could go on a whole episode about that. And I think we're going to have to do that eventually, but I think they're going to need a ring to their name, so we're going to have to wait a couple weeks and then we can start to try to place them in there and see with the outlook of what could, if we end up winning this year, potentially be a dynasty for the next 3 to 4 years and see how that could impact their legacy with the Celtics. But the ring is the biggest thing on that, so I think we got to press a pause on that until then. I talk about the duo. Tatum, 30.3 points per game, 10.3 rebounds per game, 6.3 assists per game, 46.3% field goal percentage from the field throughout. He also led the team in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He's up there on a crazy list. I wish I had that stat readily available right now, but he's the first to lead a team in all of those stats since I think LeBron in 2016 with the Cavs were in.
Yeah, it was stupid me. I think I told you I had a 7-leg parlay with the Celtics and player props, and I hit everything last night except the Jason Tatum rebounds.
He still played a great game, and he's...
I said under, and he went 13.
No, yeah, I know. Oh, I thought
I took the under.
Okay, yeah. That was fucking stupid. He was averaging 10.3 rebounds a game.
I was dumb.
Can I just say, though, and I think I've talked to you about this on the phone or some. We talked about it in person. Definitely last week when we were at the beach. I really want this ring, not only because it'd be great to see a Boston team win, but the disrespect on my two superstars' names is getting ridiculous, and the disrespect that this team gets on a national media level is absolutely absurd. I
don't think it's going to change.
It's not going to change, but at least that point, you got to then, if you're going to make that argument, you'll have to make sure you announce Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown NBA champions. Then at that point. We'll blow out a game, and it's, they're not battle tested enough. They're just doing this. They were doing this all throughout the regular season.
Yeah, they were playing crap teams. They're not playing the West.
Yeah, 47 wins out of 20 plus points, not battle tested. You mentioned about the West. That's really funny. We were 27-9 against the West in the regular season, but I digress. And then, we get in these close games. We play Indiana, and like I mentioned earlier, they had late leads in 3 out of the last 4 games. and you win those tight games in those games that like those are those championship games you need to grind out and be able to win. And then it's, well, Celtics shouldn't have even been in a close game. They're too good to be in these close games. We can't fucking win, and it's ridiculous. No. So let's just shut them up with a ring. That's how I feel about it.
But again, I don't think even if we get a ring, it's going to change for whatever reason. The national media does not like our Celtics.
Well, because they're Boston. They don't like Boston teams, and we've known that. And that's why, they're going to continue to hate on Jason Tatum. The craziest thing is in game 2, when Jaylen Brown had, I think, 40 or 43, the headlines weren't Jaylen Brown, lifts, a phenomenal Celtics team to like a gritty championship win. No, it was Jason Tatum bailed out by Jaylen Brown last night.
Yeah.
Can we? And it's so funny because Jason Tatum had a tweet about this, I think in like 2019 or something, that was brought back up on Celtics Twitter throughout this last week, where he said, normalize celebrating others' achievements without tearing somebody else down in the meantime. And that's what needs to happen, because just because JB has a great game does not mean Jason Tatum is a bad player. Just because Jason Tatum takes over, it doesn't mean that Jaylen Brown can't be that 1B. Those two things can exist at the same time. That is why we have this duo and have built around this duo, because we know what they're capable of. And yet the national media can respect every other duo, the Jamal Murrays and the Jokic and the Chris Middletons and the Giannis, but when it's JT and Jaylen Brown, it's one has to be good and one has to be bad. We can't acknowledge that there's two good players.
And you know what? I was listening to another one of our, or at least my favorite podcasts out there, Barstool Sports, Pardon My Take. Hello, Big Hat. Hello, PFT. Please listen to us. They were saying a lot about this the other day. I think this was probably Saturdays or Mondays podcast that they recorded, but they were talking about how the NBA now, I think, is shifting to a single/duo teams, not the big three kind of thing or the super teams anymore, because obviously the super team players are all getting old, and now the newer players in the league either have not become friends with other players in the NBA, buddy like
the LeBron and Wade and Carmelo and Bosh. Yeah.
Or hell, I still remember the freaking Pistons Lakers NBA final when Isaiah came up to Magic at the, before the tip off and kissed him on the cheek. I mean, that's BS. I mean, yes, you can be friends off and then after, but during the game, come on.
Mm-hmm.
You want to beat that person. You don't want to,
you want to kill.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
You don't want to just, hey, here's a little peck on the cheek. You're my buddy.
I hope I know we're trying to win, but I hope we all have fun, head ass.
Yeah.
Like, that shit's stupid.
We all get an award. Everyone gets an award.
I have more fun stats because these are just, I love reading these off here. So, Jason Tatum needs 94 points in the finals this year to tie Kobe for the most career playoff points before the age of 27, and 95 points, which he should be able to do in probably 3 or 4 games. He will pass them. He would be number 1 on that list. Jason Tatum, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James. Great company to be in, right?
Oh, yeah.
He also, this is funny. I want to bring this up. So I have a note here. It says, Tatum most career playoff points tweet sent to podcast DM. So I sent this to our New Era podcast Twitter so that I can refer back to it. And I'm realizing now this image is, I think, from last year, but I want to read you something. So I think this is before, like I'm saying, I think before the playoffs started last year. Jason Tatum had more total playoff points, 2,236, than these players. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2,105, drafted in 2013. Nikola Jokic, 1869, drafted in 2014. Kyrie Irving, 1724, drafted in 2011. Damian Lillard, 1569, drafted in 2012. Anthony Davis, 1427, drafted in 2012. DeMar DeRozan, 1375, drafted in 2009. Joel Embiid, drafted in 2014, has 1271. Donovan Mitchell, 1221, drafted in 2017. Did I say Embiid was in 17? I meant 14. Devin Booker, 1205, drafted in 2017. And Luka Doncic, drafted in 2018, 911. Remember, then Tatum was drafted in 2017. This was before this year, in which now he's getting into that elite territory. But remember, Jason Tatum, he can't be good if Jaylen Brown is good. You know, he's not a good player. The only one can be good at night.
Yeah, that's right. If
Jaylen Brown can't get over that hump.
If Jaylen Brown goes over 40, that Jason was just missed. And yes, that game, we said it. We were watching. We said Jason is not hitting any threes. He's not hitting in.
It was just the first half, though. He had 4 in the first half and still finished the game like 23-8-7 or something.
Yeah.
It's funny. I'm looking at the one reply here on the tweet. It's a random account. It says, I don't understand flexing total points in the playoffs. Of course, the player with the best team is going to play more games in the playoffs. This is literally what I'm talking about. That's not all of those guys that I just listed are the best players on their team. They also have at least 6 to 10 years over Tatum.
And probably recognized as at one point could be the face of the NBA. And Jason is not recognized that way.
Did you see, actually they were talking about this, I think before game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Kenny the Jet Smith went on a whole thing saying that, you know, all respect to anybody that comes out of the East, we think it's going to be the Celtics and whatever, but really, this Western Conference Finals with Ant and Luka Doncic, they are playing for who's going to become the face of the league. Because then he goes, well, you know, because if they lose to the Celtics, it's going to be, well, Luka lost, well, Anthony Edwards lost, it's not going to be Jason Tatum won. Well, why is it not? I want to know, when does he get to put his bid in for being in that echelon of I could be the face of the league? Does he need to win fucking 7? Is that when he's going to get the respect?
I think it goes back to, I think even before his time with Duke. I mean, yes, he was a one and done at Duke. Duke is also a favorite college of both of ours, sport wise. I mean, he was, you know, probably highly. I mean, obviously going to Duke, he was
very highly touted. I think he was third in the class. He was the Gatorade Player of the Year that year, actually.
But I don't know if it's one little criticism I have is bringing out his little son all the time.
Why? I love Deuce. I don't care. I love Deuce. Don't be like that. We love Deuce. Deuce is great. Deuce is great energy for the Celtics. The whole team loves Deuce. Deuce has like 17 uncles, all of them that are out there on the court. It's fucking awesome. I love Deuce being out there.
I don't know. It's got to be. There's got to be just something about. I mean, he seems to be I mean, mom is there. He hugs mom. I mean, a clean cut kid.
Never has any problems. He just goes out there. He plays basketball. You never hear shit in the offseason.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he needs to drive.
Maybe he needs a scandal.
Fast.
Yeah. Maybe.
He needs to get in a car and go 100 miles an hour and get arrested.
Yeah. Let's just do it after the final, Statham.
Yeah.
Or just not do it at all.
Yeah, don't do it at all.
Still my face of the league, but
keep on being who you are, Jason.
Speaking of who Jason Tatum is, as we're talking about the Mavs and the T-Wolves series that we anticipate is going to go to the Mavs anyways. Nobody comes back down from 3-0. In the last 4 starts against the Mavericks, or against Luka, that is, over the last 2 years, because Tatum and Jaylen Brown, from what I've seen through their stats, they don't come out and say it. But I don't think they like Luka. I don't think they like all the talk about, oh, well, he can be the face of the league over them. They just go out there and they fucking ball, and they do not like that guy, and they're going to play their hearts out. Tatum's averaging 34.3 points per game, 11.5 rebounds per game, 5.8 assists in the last four, dating back to last year against the Mavericks. Last four box scores. You ready for this?
Yeah.
37, 13, 5 with 2 blocks. 29, 14, and 10. Nice little triple-double. 1 steal, 2 blocks. 39 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, and 32 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. No steals, no blocks. But he can't be in the conversation for face of the league. It's the guy that he consistently shows up and outplays every time that they played when they've been on the same level for the last 2 years, right?
And the fact that, you know, those block numbers. I mean, obviously, he can score. But yet, and he's made those great steals. We've known that. But the blocks, you know, he's what a five-tool NBA player.
6'10", plays like he can be a guard at 6'3", and shoots like yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw him sometimes in this series when Al was off the court without Porzingis and
he was playing
Cornet,
the 5. He was playing
Cornet
the 5.
went in. Yeah, he was hurt. I think the second half of game 2 or 3, and yeah, they put him out there at the 5, and he's big enough to do it.
Yep, and he was handling it.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I mean, you know, I've always loved Tatum, and it's the Duke to Celtics connection, and so happy that we drafted him and smoke screen Philly that we were never going to take fucking Markelle Fultz. We always knew that we wanted our guy. You're right, that definitely feeds into the hate that he gets because everybody loves to hate Duke, everybody loves to hate the Celtics. You pair them together, and it's just like, well, fuck this guy, even though he is one of, if not the best basketball player in the world right now that's still currently playing.
Hey, speaking of hating Duke, I saw, I don't know, I think it was on my Facebook before I was waiting for you to get on. There was a Drake Maye, Jason Tatum meeting up there in the back. That was great.
It was great. I actually
and it said UNC and Duke gets along in Boston was the caption.
I saw that one. I know which one you're talking about. I actually saved that photo, and once we get in between the period of after our Celtics win the NBA championship this year and then leading up to the start of the Patriots season, that'll be the lock screen for my phone. So
there we go.
The future of Boston sports right there in those two guys. All right. Well, that's all I had written down for the Celtics and all. Do you have anything else before we move on a little bit? I know you've got some breaking news about our boys up there in Fenway Park, I think.
Yeah. I don't have anything else. It was just a fantastic series to watch. I mean, I've always been a sport fan of our New England sports, Boston sports, and watch them. But doing this podcast, obviously, I have to stay up and watch more and keep up to date and whatnot. And I've just absolutely enjoyed watching. NBA is not one of my favorite sports.
Probably your fourth favorite out of the four majors.
Yeah. But I've totally enjoyed watching this, and especially last week when the family had our beach vacation. That was good watching it with you guys, even though I did go up to bed early sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the Red Sox here. I realized yesterday, I think, did we do a look ahead last week on the Red Sox? Did we just skip over it? Yeah, I think we missed it.
Yeah, we've been, because we've been on a downward spiral.
Hey. No, I want to start this off well because we did it on Saturday, lost that game. Those first two games against the Cardinals were pretty shitty. Ended up winning on Sunday, 11-3. That was great. And then proceeded after we got almost swept by the Rays, and we were talking on last Saturday, about how we're like, oh, the sky's falling. This is fucking terrible. They look like shit. We proceeded to go into Tampa and sweep the Rays for the first time since 2019. 2019, that's 5 years. That's a big stuff. We cannot win, really, in the Trop, and we did this week. Go on to lose the first two games of the series against the Brewers in games that were not fun to watch. But then won on Sunday, 2-1. Lost yesterday 3-11, and then right now, as we're recording, the game between the O's and us just started, I think 20 minutes ago or something. It's already 4-3. We're up, bottom of the second. So that's nice.
Hey,
you talk about one of your.
Well, yeah, but before I get into that, did you? And we said the Milwaukee series was not fun to watch, but that catch that Rafaela
that was insane.
Made unreal.
You know the analytics of it said that there was a 30% chance that he was going to get to that, and I think that's generous. It was probably 10.
Yeah. The problem with that kid right now is he's too athletic defensively. I mean, I read that Grissom, hasn't been hitting the way we want, but he's still young. He's only had 1 year and not even a year of MLB, experience. Didn't have a spring training, had the flu, whatnot. But his defense, and then have Rafaela at short, has been fantastic for them. But yet the kid can do what he does in the outfield. It's where do you want to play him?
It's wherever we need, I think.
I think you could play him wherever you want him to. I think he could be a catcher.
If there's anybody in the roster, I wouldn't put it past him, to be honest.
Yeah.
If we needed in a crunch. You talk about one of your favorite podcasts to listen to, and pardon my take, one of mine is actually one of my favorite Sox podcasts, the Section 10 podcast with Jared Carabas. I was listening to him while I was flying back home and flying to Indy on Friday and Monday with their last two recent episodes. They had one yesterday that I was listening to where they were talking about this Brewer series, and they brought up a great conversation that I want to ask you, which is it's low-key trying to shit on our offense, and I don't mean it to, but I do think it's a topic of discussion. If you're a team that's going to be hopeful for the playoffs, even the wild card, you want to be able to rely on your offense to get you out of holes and get you back in games when our pitching, which has been great, sometimes can flutter. But this is a great scenario, a great example of what happens with them in the 7-2 game against the Brewers and the 6-3 game against the Brewers, the second one. We were down at one point, I think, 6-1 in the first game, and then let me look at this one. It was 5-0. We brought it to 5-2 in the bottom of the seventh at one point. How many runs? At what point do you see us down? And it could be the first inning, it could be the last, where you then say, our offense can't get us out of this hole, because I think my number might be surprising to you, but I think we need to be realistic.
I'm thinking 4-5.
I'm thinking 3-4. I could see them down 3 runs, and at a certain point,
we're there at 4.
At 4, absolutely. If
runs,
I see them down 4, even in the top of the first, I almost want to write off the game.
Yeah.
3 anywhere past the 5th inning, I'm writing off the game. I just don't think that the offense can get the wheels and come around to do it. We're a team that's going to have to heavily rely on staying in it early or getting up early.
We have to
those offensive outbursts.
We have to manufacture runs, as they say. Yeah. We have to use our speed, hit and run. Without Cassis, you're only. And O'Neill, comes and goes. Your only big bat is Devers, and he's been off and on as well and injured and stuff. So
outside of those 6 straight games that he homered last week.
Well, yes, outside of that. But yet if you're relying on him, even though he did it 6 straight games, to have to home. Oh, well, he can get you that home run, but yet if you don't have anybody else on base.
Yeah, you got to put people ahead of him.
Yeah.
You got to put people ahead of him on base. And that's
And
what you're saying, Manny,
and
next to the runs.
and
too, the big bat.
unfortunately, without Durant, yes, if we're down 3 runs, Duran can get on. He's been, please, Duran, listen to us. Come on this podcast. We love you.
Most triples in the league.
Yep. If we're down 3, yes, now it's potentially 3-2, but at that point, we still feel that in the 5th inning, 6th inning, we might not be able to get that again.
Yeah, once you get to those 6, 7, 8, 9 hole hitters, it's like, well, let's just hope until, at that point, I see those guys and like, yes, they've had their games, and like Abreu, who's hitting down there in the order, has his times, but it's just
and
like
Reese McGuire has done okay, yeah.
But you get to that 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm just like, all right, we'll write off the next 4 outs and just get back to the top of the order. And you really don't want to have to rely on only 55, I don't know the fucking math on it, 55, 57% of the...
Probably 40% of the lineup.
Well, no, 1 through 5. And then 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is. Fuck the math on it. But still, you get my point.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm saying though, you're looking at 1 through, even though we're saying 1 through 5 is the better part of the lineup, the unfortunate part is if your bottom part of the lineup is not doing anything, the pressure then relies on those guys, and which is going to reduce probably your effectiveness at those key moments. So I really think it's only the top 4 in the order.
I mean, and then if you think about it, if you're having a real stinker game, bottom of the 9, like 8th and 9th then lines up with what should be your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yep.
And at home, at home at least you get the bottom half of the inning and all that, but on the road then it's just like, dude.
But those guys aren't your table setters. 4, 5, 6. Mm-hmm. They're positioned for us to clean up, and your big bats to hopefully, you need your 1, 2, 3 to get on and set the table and extend the inning, which obviously they can, but then if you extend it beyond 7, 8, 9, you're out.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll do an actual look ahead this week. So, like I said, Sox are playing right now 4-3. It's now top of the 3rd, so we're up to bat. We'll see how this game goes. Lost the one yesterday, so we're already 0-1 this week, but we've got today and then the Orioles tomorrow to close out a 3-game series. And then we got a 4-game set Thursday through Sunday against the Tigers. And then, would you look at that? We're off Monday again, so they knew. They heard that we didn't do a look ahead. They're like, fuck, guys, we got to get the schedule back together. So we'll be able to look ahead to next week fully on next week's episode, Monday morning. But you look at this already at 0-1 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games, including that. What do you want to see this week against? I mean, it's really the Tigers series that really makes or breaks this, I think.
3 and 4. 3 and 4.
There we go. All right, that was easy. All right. Well, do you want to say anything about? Me earlier.
Yeah, this I just brought up, and I'm wondering if we're gonna have to close out any of these potential wins without good old Kenley Jansen, because it looks like the Dodgers and Red Sox are about to trade again.
Proposed deal is pretty cut and dry. The Dodgers would be trading Trey Sweeney to the Red Sox for Kenley Jansen, and it makes sense for both teams. Here's why. For the Dodgers, they don't have a need for an MLB-ready infielder like Trey Sweeney. Sweeney plays shortstop, and the Dodgers have best shortstop in baseball. Adding Jansen makes sense as it pushes their bullpen even closer to one of the best groups. For the Red Sox, they don't have really much of a need for Jansen. If they aren't going to compete this year, they will likely lose him in free agency at the end of the season anyways. So getting anything in return for him would be a plus. They say Sweeney's an MLB-ready infielder that could slot in at second base for next year when we're in a better position to compete. And Yeah, I'm good with that because we've had second base woes throughout the year, and he is 24 years old, drafted first first round, 20th overall by the Yankees in 2021. Estimated time of arrival in the majors 2025, 6'3", 212. Scouting grades: hit 50, power 50, run 45, arm 55, field 50, overall 45.
And they have him as the 21st prospect in the Dodgers.
Yep. That wouldn't be too bad. Just continue to add pieces. And if they're saying he could slot in at second, that'd be good because, like we're saying, looking ahead, probably after, at least definitely after the Trevor Story contract concludes, or maybe a little before if we end up moving on from him because of his injury concerns, and you open up the space at short for our boy Marcelo Mayer that we're going to continue to hope gets the call. And
where do you put Grissom
next to him? Grissom's like he's just a tool guy, isn't he? He could play fucking first, third, whatever. You throw Devers into DH and let's see. Let me look at him because I'm pretty sure he can play a lot.
I think Vaughn is like 6'3".
Vaughn is 6'2", 210. It says second base here. I don't know how to see. I wish I had MLB The Show open.
I thought he did come up as a third baseman though.
It says position second and shortstop. So I don't know, just have another utility guy.
Yep.
Yeah, or you do. I mean, Mayer could play third, I think. Let me see. Marcelo.
I mean, Grissom could be athletic enough to put him in the right field.
Yeah, but I don't think he's ever played outfield is the only thing.
I think he might have played with Atlanta in the outfield.
Oh, can Marcelo only play short? Well, shit. All right. Well, that's what they say. Marcelo can only play short. But I'm sure they'd figure it out. I mean, even if you do it in the offseason and get a whole offseason of trying to put Marcelo at third, well, honestly, no, you'd probably want him at short. The way that he is, you'd want him at short. So getting an offseason of saying if either Sweeney or Grissom could go to third then would probably be enough for me. I'd be fine with that. And then, Devers at DH if needed. I mean, Devers isn't a terrible defensive player by any means, but Trey Sweeney, shortstop and third baseman. Perfect.
All
right. Awesome.
Do it, Red Sox. Make the trade.
Do it. I like it. I'm down. I haven't liked. I liked Kenley Jansen when we got him. I haven't liked him all this year. His attitude has been absolutely shit. He doesn't look like he either wants to be here or he doesn't want to be here and win. Like I don't get what it is. He doesn't.
I think you're right. I think if he's going to be here, he wants to win. I think he said he enjoyed being here in Fenway and Boston and the allure of playing in Fenway, but yet if we're not winning, he doesn't want to be here. So let's get rid of that. Yep. Yeah. Let's get rid of that. The New Era podcast says, "Do it, Red Sox."
Yep. Quick little thing about the Pats. We don't have much. However, the big thing that did come as of 5 hours ago, or was it yesterday? I think it was. No, it was today.
4 hours ago, yeah.
It was today. 2024 first-round draft pick quarterback Drake Maye was signed to his rookie deal. 4 years, $36.4 million, and prorated signing bonus of 23.468, and begins with a base salary of $795,000, cap number of $6.662 million, and he does have a team option for year 5. Let's go, Drake. Glad that we got that done out of the way very early. He never struck me as a guy that was going to give us any contract problems, but
no, and I think that a good portion of your draft class now has been signed, ready to go.
I think so. All right.
And have you just seen some of the media about Jacoby Brissett and just how he is? I saw a comment he made about mentioning that the quarterback group, all of them want to be the man. And he said, wouldn't you want that?
Yeah. I mean, you don't want a guy coming in to be like the Alex Moran, the Blue Mountain State Alex Moran. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want guys that are just going to settle. Like, you want everybody to be hungry. I mean, it's a new season. Everybody's 0-0. You can go in, win week 1, even though they don't think we're going to, and then you have a completely new outlook on the year, you know?
Yeah, I'm getting it. Like, we were excited about our Red Sox team, fell in love with them and their lineup. Getting excited about this Patriots squad.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so very quickly here, I know you've got something for us to end off as our last segment, but
yes.
in the meantime, as a nice little segue, the reason I know we talked about it last week, but the reason why we do have a late podcast coming out today is because I was gone Friday through yesterday. I got back very late at like 11:30. But I was in Indianapolis this weekend for the first time, seeing the Indianapolis 500, which was an absolute spectacle. And I understand why people say it is one of the greatest sporting events you'll see in person, if not the greatest. Outside of the fact that Indianapolis has nothing but just grass and a lot of weird white people, this is like this was absolutely phenomenal. We got into Indianapolis Motor Speedway about 9:30. Super cool fucking thing about the event, they let you bring your own beer. They let you bring your own coolers.
I'm looking to see if we have had. I'm looking to see if we have anyone from Indianapolis listening to us. We might lose them.
No. But yeah, they let you bring your own beer. Let you bring your own coolers in. It's got to be a little like the carry ones. They got to be a certain size. But we got in there. I think I cracked my first one at like 9:30. Went and sat down. Absolutely unbelievable seats. Thanks to my great buddy that I met 13 years ago, playing on some Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption. Met him for the first time, and some of his buddies that usually go out there for a yearly boys trip. And he actually told me right as he dropped me off at the airport, he's like, "Man, I really hope it was as good as it." It lived up to the hype that I gave it and all of that. And I was like, dude, it fucking blew it away. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a beautiful, beautiful venue. The TV does not do it enough justice. The race day activity and the vibe around there and everything is just second to none. We were right there almost by the start and finish line. So saw all of, the pre-race stuff. And then an hour and a half before the race was supposed to start, storms that we were expecting did come in. So we got about a 3-4 hour delay. Race didn't start, I think, until like 4:15. But then, great skies, great sun, and it was.
My question is, where did they fit 300,000 people?
Well, so actually, it was 345,000. The max is 350. It's 345, but he was telling me it was the most sold since 2015, where they actually did sell out. A lot of people were just standing around like under. Luckily, our seats were covered. So my group, we were just like, we got beers here and food. Like, you're going to have to drag me out of the fucking stadium. I'm not leaving here. Like, this is fine.
Oh, so you were...
They didn't evacuate us. If they were like, every time you'd pass by, when I'd go get a pretzel or take a piss, they'd like, hey, I want to let you know we're evacuating. I'd be like, cool, yeah, I'm going up. That's fine. Thanks for telling me. So there's a bunch of people under sitting in the bathrooms. There's some people on our side that was still covered that would just sit there. Right across from me was, they didn't have any like cover over them, so they did make them leave. Yeah. But if you were covered, they let you stay in there.
Were you still on the metal bleachers?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was something ahead of me, so it was all fine. And then
so we did see you on TV. Then you were one of the 100 few people that stayed there.
Probably, yeah. You might have seen us in there. Yeah, it was pretty funny because then they saw, like, they got their TVs there and everybody's doing the pre-race stuff, and you see something go up there, and it was just like severe thunderstorm warning. We were anticipating some evacuation, or we recommend evacuating from the stands, and just the wave of boos that went around the stadium was so funny. And then so 4 hours later, you come back, and finally on the TV it goes, weather advisory is gone. Race will start after we drive the track. And then it was just the uproar of cheers. I was just like, this is so cool. So the race starts. We had an accident on lap one.
Yeah, right
actually.
away.
I think it nailed like four people on the first turn.
The first turn.
My buddy was telling me usually sometimes they'll do like people will get through the first two turns and you'll hear everybody cheer because they're happy they got through the first two. And we get to lap or turn one and have a 4-car little pileup. And my buddy goes to me and he was just like, well, you're not fucking seeing it this year. And I was just like, well, that's okay. And yeah, it was just so cool. The cars are, loud, not too loud. Some people had their earplugs in, but I told my buddy, I was just like, dude, if this is going to be the only time I see this, I'm going to raw dog this thing. I want the full experience. I want to absolutely hear the cars just buzzing by. And, he told me at one point, he was like, just look ahead, find a pit stop and just see the cars go through. And I did that for one lap and they're just like, they're missiles. They're going at 230 miles an hour straight. And it's just vroom, vroom, like you can't see that. It was so cool. And then the end of the race. Now, granted, the end of the race would have been a lot better if one of the guys that I bet won. Somehow I bet 9 out of the 33 drivers and still didn't fucking pick the correct one. So that sucked. But the end of the race was phenomenal. Joseph Newgarden ended up taking over in turn 3, made a great little slipstream push around the outside of Pato O'Ward, and then cut back inside of him. And they were talking about it on the Pat McAfee show actually earlier today. Newgarden was saying when he comes down at that speed, it almost pushes air behind him. So you could see Pato lose some of the speed and acceleration he had. It gave Newgarden the separation that he needed, and he ended up beating him by, I'm looking at this here, 0.3 seconds, which is crazy when I'm looking at it here. I didn't see the times at the moment. You just see how fast they're going. But for all that to be 0.3 seconds almost is just absolutely phenomenal. Well, it does suck that, another guys that I picked won, and apparently Newgarden is part of the Penske team. Who there's some there's some sort of
Penske driver,
something going on, and there was some bullshit talk behind that. It was really cool because he is the first back-to-back driver, I guess, in over 20 years. So I did still see some history. And
the Penske's had the first 3.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, which is like the first time that's happened or something, which is really cool because I was hearing, like I was telling my buddy.
Since the last time, which was back in, I think it was 77, and the team that did that before was the Penske's.
Wow. But I was telling my buddy, like, it's pretty cool to see that because, like, if I paid attention to any, like, racing, it would be probably F1 the most, then NASCAR, then IndyCar. And he's like, yeah, well, the big difference is, like, in F1, like, if you have the money, you can soup that motherfucker up.
Yeah.
You can just have a better car. Whereas in IndyCar, just all the cars are so close and just like they're almost the same thing. And so to be able to have and qualify 1, 2, 3 is very impressive there. More impressive than you'd think it would be. And then, it all comes down to, like I'm saying, with the same cars and having this speed 0.3 seconds and just one overtake in turn 3 that goes into 4 that ends up winning it. It was phenomenal. I'd absolutely, if you've ever considered going to the Indy 500, if you've ever been on the fence, 100% go. It was probably the best sporting event I'll ever see in my life.
What a weekend of racing, though. So we turned it on because obviously we knew you were there and just see, not obviously we weren't going to see you, but just be a part of the event that you were watching live. But before that, we had the Monaco race. So we watched that a little bit. And then you finish up, and our buddy down the street here, Mike, ended up going to the Charlotte, the Coca-Cola 500.
600. Almost 600.
Yeah.
That Kyle Larson was actually supposed to try.
Yeah.
He was supposed to attempt the Memorial Day double if it wasn't for the fact that we had the delay. And that was actually one I did bet on Larson right before the race started. Me and my buddy were sitting there and we're like, we're not going to bet on him until we see him there, like getting into the car. Because there was talks throughout the delay that they were like, he might just up and go to Charlotte because that's going to be more of a sure thing. But no, it just came down to it, and the weather was starting to break up, and you heard it over the intercoms and everything, and they were like, yeah, I think their team's just going to set. He'd rather compete in the Indy 500, which, I mean, obviously, I would too if I could drive that fucking fast. Ended up finishing 18th, but he was super fun to watch. It would have been cool to see him at least attempt the Memorial Day double, but I think he's going to try to do it again next year.
Yeah, Mike had said Kyle Larson did eventually make it to Charlotte,
like 9:45, I think,
just as they called or stopped that for weather delay because of the rain that came through here.
Damn, so he was going to still attempt. Like, how would that have worked? Would he have?
Well, he was going to be already 100, 200 laps behind, but still be able to get in the car to race, I think would have been something.
Points. Yeah. He was granted a waiver by NASCAR for playoff eligibility because of it. So I think he was still in a good spot that he's going to make it. I have no idea how the NASCAR playoff standings or anything like that works, but even if he wasn't, I think like he gets a waiver for their points or gets something to be like, that's fine, or they move the cut line for him. I'm not sure how it goes, but yeah, just really good weekend of racing. Definitely gave me a love for Memorial Day racing that I will continue for the rest of my life now, and I will pay a lot more attention to next year with the Indy 500, the Coca-Cola 600 that always take place around here, and I think the Monaco always tries to take place around then too. So, yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Mike,
Mike had mentioned the spectacle and obviously the pre-race was unbelievable watching, and how many people were absolutely loving the Indiana song there while you were there?
Oh my God. Well, I mean, there was a good amount of people singing it and doing it. Within the 4-hour fucking delay that we had, there was a group 3 rows behind me that like every hour on the hour just started the Back Home in Indiana song. And I was just like, damn, bro, these guys really don't have shit to do here but fucking just watch racing and sing this song. But it was
lose to our Celtics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So with that being said, I pulled up because we had a conversation about this again while on vacation. Some of the I pulled up the top 10 sporting events that you should attend. So I have in the world and then America's top 10. So we're going to run through those right now, and you can go, yeah, I'll go to that. No, or why is that even on the fucking list?
Which one are you going to start with, America or
I'm doing the world right now.
And
10
it
says the 10 largest sporting events worldwide from 10. Right. I think it's 10 to 1. Yep. You ready?
Let's hear it. I'll give a quick yay or nay. We'll be good on this.
Okay. Oregon. Why the fuck is that even on the list?
Yeah.
Number 10, they have FIFA World Cup.
I was at 10.
Well,
is this the final or is this just any game?
Let me look here. Let me go at the bottom because it doesn't have 1 through. They just have a list. I'm just going to go through. One. I'm just going to go through, and you can.
I'll rank it. That should be. I will 100. I'll tell you. I'll rank. That should 100% be 1. I know I was just telling how great the Indianapolis 500 is as on a worldwide scale. If you're talking about probably the greatest spectacle that you have to go to, the World Cup final, absolutely, I think has to be 1. I don't think anybody would ever take that down.
Now, would you consider where it's located?
No, I don't think it. I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I think because of how big soccer is internationally, that has to be 1.
Okay, your next one, the Olympic Games.
I mean, that's up there. I don't think it's 2. I'll go. I think that one definitely depends on location more.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go 4.
Okay. All right. Super Bowl. All
right. People might hate me for this.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. It really is, and there's a ton of stuff behind it. But I'm gonna put the Super Bowl at like 5.
Okay.
Like you get one every year, and like most of the hype is just from, if we're talking about the world, right? It's bigger in the U.S. I think you have to keep that in mind. Yes, the matchup definitely contributes to it, but we're the only ones really paying attention to that.
Yeah.
I think you got to give respect to some of the other worldwide stuff. I think that's got to be 5.
All right. Wimbledon.
3.
Okay.
I'm not even a big tennis fan, but also that's just one of those huge internationally. That's just that there's a lot of history there. That's it. 3.
The Tour de France.
Fucking 10. I don't care.
Oh, you should have hold on to 10. You ready?
Yeah.
They say that the Cricket World Cup is an event.
Oh my God. 25. 25. Go.
The Rugby World Cup.
9. I think that's cooler than Tour de France.
A Formula One Grand Prix event.
All right, this one is very event like location specific, but
yes, it is.
I mean, Monaco, I'd put up there as a top one with them. I mean, Miami is really cool how they race around the stadium and stuff. Yeah, I'll put that at 6.
Okay. The NBA Finals.
I really want to put this at 10. I'm sorry, I don't. The NBA playoffs fucking suck, dude. Like, I know the Celtics have been good, but I was talking about this with some of my friends in a betting chat a couple days ago. Like, out of the 4 major sports, the NBA playoffs, like, they kind of fucking blow. Yeah. They really, I'll put it at 8, but like, they suck, dude.
And then the last one for the world events, you should attend the Masters.
2. I'm happy I kept that. That's okay. I like that. I like that. And then cricket just doesn't. That's 9 for me. Wait, so they have Cricket World Cup in there over the World Series. Yeah. That is what I was holding out for a little bit, but that's crazy. All right, so now let's go U.S.
The U.S. Now, should I? And I'm going to go these 10 through 1.
Yeah.
And you can just agree or not.
Yeah.
All right. Number 10, they have the U.S. Open. Tennis Open. U.S. Tennis Open in New York.
That's fine. That's fine there.
Number 9, an MLB All-Star Game.
That's fine there. I'm okay with that. They're fun with the home run derby and everything. I think they're slept on. I think the All-Star weekend that they do is pretty cool there.
I did attend, not the All-Star game. I attended the, I think it was the international U.S. in Fenway with your grandfather once.
That's cool.
Number 8, you ready? The Masters.
That's way too low.
They've ranked the Masters number 8.
This list is gonna suck. That's so low.
Number 7, and this is an event that your mom wants to go to, the Kentucky Derby.
That needs to be way higher too. That needs to be arguably top 3. Masters and that should be top 3. That's crazy.
All right.
I would love to go to the Kentucky Derby.
I can't wait for you for this one. They say number 6, an NBA All-Star.
No, guys. The NBA playoffs fucking suck.
No, it's an All-Star game.
Oh, I didn't even hear because I just heard NBA. All-Star game's even fucking worse.
I know.
That was in Indiana this year. That should go to show you how fucking stupid it is. That's so bad. NBA, an MLB All-Star game clears, absolutely sweeps NBA All-Star weekend 8 out of 7 days a week. That's ridiculous.
Number 5 is the Daytona 500.
Yeah. I'm okay with that. It shouldn't be higher than the Kentucky Derby and the Masters, but I'm okay with that.
Now, this is how much this one sport rules our lives. They're saying number 4 sporting event that you must attend in the Americas is an NFL draft.
I forget about that as like a sporting event. Yeah, in the US, no, I think that needs to be high. I would love to go to a draft. I think that's that, like, and being there for all 3 days and all, I mean, you just get
But
fans
is
of
that
like all 32 teams.
now, is that city specific or just in general? I don't
Kind of.
care if
Not
it's
as much as some of the ones that I said in the world one.
I mean,
I
would you
wouldn't want to go to fucking Detroit, but
no,
anywhere else, sure.
or
Not
wait a minute.
Philadelphia either. They're going to
No.
Pittsburgh next year, I think.
Oh. Well, you could eat a lot of sandwiches there.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the NFL opening night or / weekend.
So no, that's too high. I'm sorry. That's too high.
Ooh,
It's
I think
week
you're going to
1.
like this one.
It's week 1.
Yeah. You're going to like this one. Number 2, the Final Four.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh damn. So I was trying to put Kentucky Derby and Masters in top 3, and like they need to be top 5. But yeah, Final Four needs to be up there. That's
And is that event or city specific, or I mean,
No.
would you?
I don't think it. I don't, because of the whole hype of March Madness and whatever happens throughout that.
Well,
tournament.
again, you're not going to have it in Albuquerque.
No, they usually do. They have the same like rotation of
Houston
7 to 10
and
cities.
New Orleans,
San Antonio, New Orleans, Indianapolis. Yeah, no, that's cool.
So you'll go back to Indianapolis if it's there?
I would go back to Indianapolis if Duke is in the Final Four, because they have great success in Indianapolis in the Final Four, and Minneapolis. Anything with an Apples at the end, they're really good at.
And the number 1 sporting event here in the Americas, this is from Bleacher Report, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's cool, man, but no. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a Super Bowl hater, but I think we get sucked into the spectacle of it in the halftime show. But if you really think about it, like compared to some of these other great sporting events, it's just another football game, man. Like,
yeah. And
if you go, like the next year it happens, people are just like, oh, I'm going to the Super Bowl this year. It's just like, oh, cool. I went to Super Bowl 53. And they're like, well, I don't fucking care anymore. Like, that's good for you, but I'm going. Like,
and I agree that obviously all these events occur once a year, every year, blah, blah, blah. But there's a certain, element to the pomp and circumstance of a Kentucky Derby, of the Masters, of the Daytona 500, and the Indianapolis 500 was not even on this list.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's ridiculous.
The rest of the stuff surrounding
that is a terrible
weekend.
You said that was Bleacher Report?
Bleacher Report.
Who wrote that?
I just got rid of that shit.
Good. Don't fucking pull it back. I hope they're fired. That's a terrible list. It looks like they literally just like they took a map of just sporting events and like closed their eyes and just fucking threw darts with numbers on it, and they were like, here's 10, 9, 8, there we go.
Yeah.
That's bad.
I keep on pulling up crap on Bleacher Report. I gotta stop. I gotta find
No, I do too. I like Bleacher Report I get Bleacher Report stuff all throughout the day on my phone, and I don't
What's
mind
that other one? The Athletic?
Yeah, you gotta pay for the Athletic though. I don't do that shit.
Yeah, no. I gotta do that.
I mean, ESPN has some good ones too, but they also hate our Boston team, so I don't listen to too much of that.
Even though they're Bristol.
Yeah, I know, crazy. All right, yeah, that's all I had on my nice note sheet. You got anything else before we close out this episode that just happened to just fly by?
Yeah. No, I think I'm pretty good. We understand what events Hanson doesn't want to go to and where he wants to.
Yep. All right. Well, once again, thank you guys for the constant support and listening to these episodes, and it makes it even better for us. I mean, we're going to do it regardless, but it's great that some of y'all want to listen to some of this every week. Go Celtics, your 2024 Eastern Conference champions, soon to be 2024 NBA champions. We'll get probably a little more into that next week as we look ahead to the 2 games that we'll see next week on next week's episode. Then,
yeah, and we hope to conduct an event, little interview as well. There's another upcoming event here in Cary, North Carolina, the soccer tournament put on by Clint Dempsey. So maybe we can get someone to talk about that. And yeah, and I actually know of someone that is actually participating in the event, a former player of the Carolina Railhawks. So I'm going to try and see if he wants to talk about his experience following that.
That'd be cool. I know somebody who's playing too, Pat McAfee. I can't get a hold of him though. But
no, I can get a hold of this guy a little bit easier than Pat McAfee.
Yeah. All right. Well, that'll conclude episode 21 of A New Era podcast. Thank you guys for listening. Any questions, comments, concerns, please hit us up on our social media platforms at A New Era Podcast on Twitter, on Instagram, A New Era Podcast on Facebook, and A New Era Podcast at gmail.com. If you'd like to send us any emails for it, we will catch back up with you guys next Monday morning, June 3rd, for episode 22.
Love you, son.
Love you, Dad.